The story began on a morning that was anything but ordinary. At an animal park next to a seaside amusement park, big cat trainer Jung-hwan was at work. He dealt with tigers and lions every day, and in some ways he found them easier to handle than people. Suah was Jung-hwan's daughter. Suah loved dancing, and she had a big sign on her bedroom door that said, "No dad allowed." They also had a cat named Aeyong, who witnessed their daily bickering. That night, an emergency news report broke in on TV. An unknown zombie virus was spreading across the globe. Footage of infected people biting and running wild filled the screen, and the city quickly descended into panic. Just then, Suah spotted the neighboring couple arguing outside. She watched their strange and awkward movements. Suah thought they were making up by dancing, but the very next second, the unthinkable happened. Jung-hwan quickly pulled Suah back inside to hide, but the neighbor, now a zombie, started banging on their glass door. It looked like the zombie was about to smash the glass with its head. Jung-hwan told Suah to grab the cat and hide in her room. He stayed behind to try and reason with the neighbor. Of course, the zombie couldn't understand a word he was saying. It just wanted to bite. After temporarily taking care of the zombie, Suah checked her group chat and saw that tons of people were infected. They were all turning into zombies. Jung-hwan's first thought was to get to the police station, but as soon as they stepped outside, they saw the streets were already swarming with the undead. Even the dog had turned into a zombie dog. He pulled out his phone to call 911, but the line was dead. The call wouldn't go through. The only place he and Suah could run to was his mother's home in the countryside, a small seaside village called Yunbong-ri. It was far from the city and hadn't been hit by the zombies yet, but how could they get through the horde? Jung-hwan had a flash of inspiration. They would disguise themselves as zombies. Luckily, both father and daughter were excellent dancers. Their performance was surprisingly convincing. As the nearby zombies stared in confusion, their brilliant acting worked. They shuffled safely right through the crowd. By the time the slow-witted zombies caught on, they all started swarming toward them. An elderly zombie even tackled Suah. Jung-hwan rushed over to stop it. The zombie latched onto his arm and bit down hard. Luckily, the zombie's dentures didn't break his skin. Jung-hwan hid Suah in a safe corner. He went alone across the street to get the car. The plan seemed to be working perfectly. They quickly sped off and escaped the area. But while Jung-hwan was relieved, Suah suddenly went silent. Filled with dread, Jung-hwan ripped up Suah's sleeve. He saw that the skin on her arm was pale and gray, and on it were several bite marks. It turned out, while Suah was hiding in the corner, a little kid zombie had ambushed her. The zombie virus spread fast, right in front of his eyes. Suah slowly turned into a flesh-eating zombie. Jung-hwan was overwhelmed with complicated feelings. He had no idea what to do. As Suah lunged at him, all he could do was wrap the hood around her head. Then he used the seatbelt to tie her down. The harsh reality pushed Jung-hwan into total despair. They finally reached his mother, Bam-sun's house in the countryside. They had just barely secured Suah when they heard the government's new policy on the news. To stop the spread of the infection, the government had sent in special forces. All infected people were to be eliminated on sight. Terrified the army would shoot Suah. But Jung-hwan decided he had to be the one to end her suffering. He went into the yard and dug a grave with a shovel. Then he walked over to Suah, who was tied to a tree. He raised the shovel high above his head, but looking at her pale gray face and her dead milky eyes, Jung-hwan couldn't stop flashing back to all the good times they shared. His heart broke. He squeezed his eyes shut, unable to look at her anymore, but his whole body started to tremble. Finally, he swung the shovel down, but he missed. Suah was still tied to the tree, unharmed. Jung-hwan collapsed. He fell forward, hugging his zombie daughter, tears streaming down his face. Grandma Bam-sun looked at her useless son and her snarling, biting granddaughter. Grandma decided to handle it herself. She picked up the shovel. She looked so terrifying that even the zombie, Suah, looked scared. Jung-hwan jumped in front of her, terrified. Bam-sun didn't really have the heart to do it, and now she hesitated. The two of them started arguing. They were yelling at each other in the yard, but while they were distracted, Suah managed to break free from the ropes and ran off. They frantically searched the roads. The road ended at the town pier, but there was still no sign of Suah. Then, Jung-hwan suddenly remembered a place. It was an old fishing shed his mother, Bam-sun, had built by the water. He opened the metal door, and sure enough, Suah was inside. She was standing in a corner playing with an old fishing net, but Bam-sun saw this and still couldn't believe it. After all, the news said zombies were just dead people. How could dead people still have memories? Jung-hwan wouldn't give up. He wanted to run one more test. He took out his phone and played a song they both knew well. As the music started, zombie Suah actually started to dance. Her moves were still stiff, but these little reactions convinced Jung-hwan that his daughter's memories were still hiding somewhere inside that zombie shell. He thought, I can train tigers. Why can't I train my zombie daughter? So he decided to keep his zombie daughter. That night, Junghwan looked up news about the infection. He found out the virus was called the Gra virus. The theory was, if an infected person could regain their memories, the virus would get weaker. So his job was to make Sua remember more of her past. But before his plan could even begin, an uninvited guest showed up. It was Junghwan's childhood friend, Dong Bei. He had just heard about the zombie outbreak in Seoul. He wanted to check on Bam Sun. Through the frosted glass, he saw Sua eating at the table. He immediately went to say hello. But when he saw what Sua looked like, Dongbei's heart nearly leaped out of his chest. He thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. He made an excuse and left in a hurry. But when Junghwan went outside to see him off, he saw Dongbei holding his phone, about to call the police. Junghwan quickly snatched the phone away. He insisted that Sua still had her memories, that she wasn't just a zombie. Even Bam Sun came out to convince Dongbei. The two men had a late-night talk. Dongbei understood why Junghwan was doing this. It just so happened that Dongbei was the town pharmacist. He said that in the medical community, there was a theory that restoring memories could weaken the virus, but the theory had no successful cases. Dongbei was just worried that Sua would eventually hurt her grandmother. That night, Bam Sun gave Sua a bath, and afterwards Sua actually went to sleep peacefully. But Junghwan was so worried, he stayed awake all night. The next day, Dongbei came to see Junghwan. He agreed to keep the secret, but it wasn't because he was moved by Junghwan's devotion. It was because researchers were working on a cure. It might get emergency approval very soon. Until the cure was ready, Dongbei even offered to help Junghwan train Sua. They chose a deserted island as their training ground. Nobody lived on the island. It was the perfect place for her rehab. Since he was an expert at training tigers, he felt confident he could train his daughter. The first thing he taught zombie Sua was no biting. The training was rough at first. Zombies don't understand human speech. Luckily, she was very responsive to his whistle. Whenever Junghwan blew the whistle, Sua would stop her attack. But the real deterrent was Bam Sun's back scratcher. Besides the anti-biting training, they also did social training and physical exercise. Junghwan took photos of Sua's progress. He taped them into a notebook to track her recovery. However, the government had a zero-tolerance policy for zombies. They didn't just send in the army to wipe them out, they also set up a hotline to report the infected. If your tip was legit, you got a reward of 100 million won. The army cleaned them out completely. The number of infected dropped every day. This was great news for humanity. But for Junghwan, it was a huge problem. If someone greedy for the reward found Sua, it would be a death sentence. Thankfully, summer passed into fall, and Sua still hadn't been discovered. She was also working really hard in her training. She didn't just stop the urge to bite, she even learned how to wave hello with Junghwan's help. She was learning to talk again, just like a baby. Bam Sun worried Sua was getting stir-crazy. She wanted to find a way for her to go outside, so she looked up beauty tutorials on how to cover up her dead-looking skin. That afternoon, Junghwan took the makeup list and went to the cosmetics store in town. He saw two normal teenage girls walk by. Their normal, happy lives made Junghwan feel a pang of sadness. Just then, Junghwan bumped into his old high school flame, Yeonhwa. She recognized him immediately. She was nice and even offered him a ride home. Yeonhwa was a teacher at the local school. She also practiced kendo. She seemed to have it all together. But Junghwan was a nervous wreck the entire ride. He was terrified she might see Sua because she hated zombies. She had once put down her infected fiancé herself, and since then, she'd been ruthless toward zombies. She always carried a wooden sword. She was an officially licensed zombie hunter. To stop Yeonhwa from finding out, Junghwan lied and said Sua was sick with a contagious disease. One day, Junghwan went back to their old apartment in Seoul. For a moment, he imagined his daughter was back to normal. He saw them laughing and bickering just like they used to. And then, in a flash, she was gone. Junghwan completely broke down, hugging Sua's clothes and sobbing. He saw a photo of Sua at the amusement park. He remembered how much she used to love that place. He immediately went back and asked Dongbei for help. He wanted to take Sua to the amusement park. But when they went to get Sua, they found Yeonhwa had already shown up at the house, unannounced. Junghwan quickly pulled Bam Sun outside to ask what was going on. He was relieved when he heard Sua was just sleeping, but just then, Sua suddenly walked out of her room. Junghwan immediately shoved her back inside. He blew a sharp whistle. Sua instantly became quiet. Then, Junghwan basically pushed Yeonhwa all the way out the door to stop Yeonhwa from ever coming back. Junghwan actually cut off all contact with her. The next day was the trip to the amusement park. Bam Sun used her new makeup skills to cover Sua's face. The results were surprisingly good. Zombie Sua didn't just look normal, she actually looked even prettier. This was also the day of the big town meeting. The village had been named Best Place to Live, and this year it also won the Zombie Free Village Award. As Bam Sun sat in the audience, listening to the mayor's dramatic speech, She felt so guilty that she choked on her water and started coughing. Seeing Bamsun acting so weird, the mayor rushed over to check on her. Then he asked why Bamsun hadn't enrolled Sua in the local school. If the school didn't get more students, it was going to be shut down. Bamsun could only explain that Sua was sick. Then she tried to sneak away. But the mayor suddenly stopped her. He said they shouldn't talk about such serious things. How could they miss the singing and dancing part? So Bamsun was stuck partying in the meeting room, while Sua was having a blast at the amusement park. Unfortunately, even after all the rides, Sua still seemed completely unfazed by everything. Just then, Dongbei got a text about the cure. He and Junghwan immediately started celebrating. They were so happy they lost track of everything. But when they looked over, Sua was gone. Even scarier, Yeonhwa had noticed Bamsun acting strangely at the meeting. She grabbed her wooden sword and went straight to the house inside. She found the photos of Sua's zombie training. Meanwhile, Junghwan was frantically searching for Sua. He finally found her walking through the crowd, holding some food. The food vendor was chasing her and demanded payment from Junghwan. And right at that moment, Sua, who couldn't even say, "Dad," spoke her first words. Since becoming a zombie, she said, "I want juice." Junghwan immediately tried to share the good news with the vendor. The vendor was totally confused. Because juice came with the meal, it was a standard combo. But Junghwan just grabbed Sua and hugged her tight. He shouted that he wanted to buy all the juice the vendor had, but he had no idea that back at home, Yeonhwa had figured out Sua was a zombie. She was interrogating Bamsun, demanding to know why she lied. Under Yeonhwa's intense questioning, Bamsun had to tell the truth. The truth was, Junghwan had never been married. Sua was his sister's daughter. Junghwan's sister had a terrible marriage. Her husband was abusive, and he was a compulsive gambler. He gambled away all their money. Even after they separated, he hunted her down in the countryside, demanding more money. At that time, Junghwan was about to move to Seoul for work, so he just took Sua with him to take care of her. Later, it was Junghwan's birthday. Bamsun threw a party for him. Yeonhwa was also invited. Junghwan asked his sister to come over and watch Sua. Suddenly, a car ran a red light, and just like that, his sister was killed. After that, Junghwan was trapped in endless guilt. He gave up on the idea of starting his own family. He just wanted to take good care of Sua. But Sua's biological father took all the insurance money and started a new family. Yeonhwa had no idea about Junghwan and Sua's hidden past, but she didn't believe the zombie Sua was the real Sua anymore. So when Junghwan returned with Sua, Yeonhwa was still ready to kill her. Junghwan jumped in between and took several hard hits from the wooden sword. Luckily, the dependable Bamsun stepped in. She had gotten drunk at the town meeting with the mayor, and in a daze she promised him Sua would attend school the next day. This was the only way to save the school from being closed. It also gave her a bargaining chip to use against Yeonhwa. If Sua could act like a normal kid at school, Yeonhwa would spare her life. On the first day of school, Junghwan followed her right onto campus. He even packed Sua a lunch and gave it to Yeonhwa, the teacher. Inside, Sua was the center of attention. The students saw her thick makeup. They just assumed all the girls from Seoul were super into makeup. They carelessly tried to wipe the makeup off her face and accidentally knocked her colored contact lens out of place. Junghwan rushed in and shoved the contact lens back in, worried something else would happen. Junghwan stayed at the school all day. During PE, while the kids played basketball, disaster struck. Yeonhwa tossed the ball to Sua, but she forgot about Sua's stiff zombie reflexes. The ball hit her so hard it knocked her jaw completely out of alignment. Luckily, Dongbei was a decent pharmacist. After a few forceful yanks and twists, he finally snapped Sua's face back into place. The other students felt bad about what happened. After school, they brought Sua a bag of apples as an apology. Through the clinic's glass window, Sua stared blankly at the students, waving goodbye. And then, she slowly raised her arm and waved back. Everyone was amazed. Sua had made friends on her very first day. That night, Sua and her grandma played cards at home. The girl, who was usually expressionless, actually let out a small, happy smile. She had friends. She was learning to smile again. It felt like life was finally getting better. But that same night, Sua's biological father showed up. Looking at this disgusting, evil man, Bamsun wished the zombies had gotten him. He had returned because of Sua. Sua's strange behavior at the amusement park had been filmed by someone and posted online. It went viral, with everyone guessing she was a zombie. The father, wanting the huge reward money, had come back to confirm if it was true. Bamsun tried to stop him, but he just shoved her violently to the ground. By the time Junghwan found out, the man had already driven off with Sua. Junghwan, desperate to catch them, took a shortcut and slid right down the mountainside. His effort paid off. He managed to block the car at the last second, but the man felt no shame. He insisted he had every right to take his daughter. He said Junghwan had no right to stop him. Faced with this shameless monster, Junghwan knew talking was useless. He just started swinging. The man distracted Junghwan with insults and then sucker punched him. To protect Junghwan, Sua lunged forward and bit the man on the neck. Jung-hwan immediately pulled Sua off. He yelled that she wasn't supposed to bite, but as he was scolding her, the man he bit began to turn. Jung-hwan pushed Sua behind him. He grabbed a nearby club and swung it hard at the lunging zombie. After taking care of the zombie, Jung-hwan immediately sent Sua back to Bam-sun. Then he found Dong-bai. He said the military would find him and Sua eventually, and when they did, everyone he knew would be investigated. So he decided to run away with Sua right now. Bam-sun understood. That night, she packed her bags. She was going with Jung-hwan and Sua. Even the cat wanted to come along. The next day, Jung-hwan had Bam-sun give a letter to Yeonhwa, but the letter was just a distraction. While Bam-sun was meeting with Yeonhwa, Jung-hwan had already taken Sua and left the village. He was heading for that deserted island in the sea, but the army moved faster than he expected. He wasn't gone for long before soldiers surrounded Bam-sun's house. When Bam-sun got back, her home had been completely torn apart. At that moment, Jung-hwan was still at the fishing shed, preparing his boat. He never expected that just as he was ready, soldiers surrounded him from both land and sea. Jung-hwan's heart sank. He locked the doors and windows. He got Sua settled. Then he went to bargain with the army commander. He said if they promised not to kill Sua, he would take the blame for everything. The army was cold and ruthless. They began to breach the shed. Jung-hwan was out of options. He refused to abandon Sua. So, in this final moment, he taught Sua to bite someone for the first and last time. He told Sua to bite him. That way, they could be together forever. Sua stared into his eyes. She hesitated, and then she bit him. Just then, the soldiers burst through the door. As they aimed their guns at Sua, the newly infected Jung-hwan violently shoved her aside. He used his own body to block the bullets. Jung-hwan slowly collapsed in front of Sua. Seeing this, Sua showed a rare, powerful emotion, grief. She started screaming, "Dad! Dad!" The army commander saw this. He immediately ordered his men to stop firing. 3 months passed. Sua woke up, completely cured and back to normal. Her first words were, "Where's my dad?" Thankfully, Jung-hwan was not dead. He was just in a deep coma. Scientists found a rare zombie virus antibody in his blood. They used it to create a vaccine, which is what saved Sua. It turned out that during all those months of training, Sua had bitten him many times. It was those little bites that had secretly built up his immunity. Bam-sun gave Sua the notebook inside. She saw her father's handwritten notes. He wrote about her training, about her learning to blink again, and about her learning not to bite. Sua's tears wouldn't stop falling. Her father had accepted the worst possible outcome. He wrote, "Whether Sua can be cured or not, she will always be my daughter." In the end, Sua got on stage for a dance competition. She gave an amazing performance and won. Bam-sun made sure to play a video of the dance for Jung-hwan, still in his coma. As the music swelled, one of his fingers twitched ever so slightly.